All right, back for another story time. So, have you ever heard the song "To Be With You" by Mr. Big? I'm sure you have. Um, it's a ridiculous song. I mean, it's a song from the early '90s, but it still feels like it's stuck in the '80s. It's a love song, I guess, and it's supposed to be sweet. It's about this guy who is trying to be there for a woman who just got her heart broken, but really he's the one that wants to be with her, and he's trying to tell her this. And it really comes off much more. If you listen to the lyrics, it comes off as much more pathetic than sweet. But anyway, that song has a big part to play in today's story. That's the only reason I bring it up. So if you've heard that song, then you can kind of picture how this story went a little bit more. It gives you a little bit more, I don't know, it helps you dive deeper into the story and feel like you're actually there. Anyway, this story, let me just tell you ahead of time. For one, I'll have to give some context before I start the story, but also just know that this is not a story that paints me or Chris in a very positive light. It makes us look like complete dicks, and we probably were. Let me just say that up front. I understand that this is not cool behavior. It was funny at the time, and you know, when Chris and I would talk about it later, it would be funny to us, but we realized it was kind of a dick move, and it was you know, it was really immature, but we were immature. We're like 20-year-old kids at the time. So take that into consideration when I'm telling the story. I'm not proud of this story. I just think that it's ridiculous, and it was a big part of Chris and I's like stuff we would talk about later on, like stuff we remember doing together. And this one is not that any of these stories really paint us in a positive light, but I think this one especially demonstrates how at that time in our lives, we didn't care about much else other than entertaining each other. And that's how ridiculous, like, our bond was, right? Like, we're best friends, and nothing delighted us more than to make the other one laugh, right? We had a million inside jokes, and that's why I tell a lot of these stories, to kind of shed light on the inside joke, and also just to remember Chris by. I forget a little bit of these stories every year. You know, it gets a little more hazy, and I feel like if I can get them down, and that's part of the reason I'm writing the book. I'm writing a book of these stories, a collection of short stories that Chris and I, you know, the adventures we had together. I'm in the process of writing that book. I've started it, and the goal is to get it finished by the end of this year. So, hopefully I accomplish that goal. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. This story will most definitely be in there, and probably in more detail. But let's get into it. So there's a little bit of context. All right. I got to tell you kind of what was going on at the time. So at this time, Chris had been married for almost a year, I believe, or more than a year, like a year and a half or something. But they had put off the actual they got married at the courthouse, and they were waiting to do a legitimate big wedding with a reception and everything, right? And they had decided to do that. And so Chris and his bride-to-be, I guess, already wife, came back to Ohio. They were living in North Carolina at the time for this wedding. Also at the same time, I had recently broken up with a longtime girlfriend and started dating a girlfriend that I had from high school. And I wouldn't say it was super serious, at least not for me. It was a month or two, a couple months into this rehashing of an earlier relationship, right? And I feel like, I was fresh out of a long relationship and not really ready to settle down in a relationship. But for some reason, I went along with the idea that we should move in together. And we made plans. Chris and his wife had asked us, it was Chris, really, right? Chris wanted me nearby. We had spent the last 5 years or so together, minus the time he was in Japan for the Marine Corps. We had spent a lot of that time together, thick as thieves. And, we both wanted that to continue, even though we were growing into adulthood now, and it was time to grow up. And Chris said, why don't you move down to North Carolina? Just be our neighbor. I'm like, okay. Like, at that time, I had no real responsibilities. I had a job, but it was kind of like a whatever job. But I had a bunch of money in the bank. If you've listened to some of my earlier stories, you'll know that I got an insurance settlement, and I had a ton of money in the bank, a ton of money for a 20-year-old kid anyway. And I was just having a blast burning through it. But, at the time, I'm thinking it's going to last forever. It lasted like a year. Anyway, I digress. That's what's going on at the time. This girl and I had even driven down to North Carolina to scope out apartments to rent. Right? It's like a 10-hour drive down there. Drove down there, looked at apartments, stayed a couple nights, drove back, and fully planned on moving together. In fact, we had all our things packed together. She had all of her things packed and ready to go. And something happened. And I don't know. I think I was looking for a way out. Okay? I really do. Like, looking back, I think I was picking a fight. But here's what happened. Right before Chris's wedding, in which I was the best man at, I said to my then girlfriend, like, aren't you going to come to this wedding? Like, they said, even though it didn't have an official invitation because they were sent out a long time ago, that you could come. And she wasn't interested in coming because this was kind of a big group of people from my old life, including my ex-girlfriend. And she didn't want to, I don't think she wanted to be around that. And she just felt uncomfortable. She didn't know anyone there. And looking back, that makes sense. But I was like, whatever, you don't want to go. I'm the best man. I got to go. You know what I mean? I'm going. And I want to go. This is going to be fun, right? Well, she said this, and this is what really sparked the whole thing. She says, don't be dancing with any other girls when you're there. And I don't know, there's a couple things here, right? I feel like it's a little immature to say don't even dance with another girl. But at the time, remember, we were immature. We're 20-year-old kids. Okay? Well, I took this, I didn't take this well. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're refusing to go with me. I want you to go with me. You're refusing to go with me, and then telling me I can't dance with anyone at a wedding full of dancing, right? And it was a silly thing, right? It was probably pretty immature of me to get that upset. I should have just been like, okay, whatever. But I didn't. Like I said, she took this relationship a little more seriously than I did. Okay, I think she was treating it like, we were damn near married, and I was treating it like we were just messing around. And so I go to the wedding, and the whole time I'm thinking, like, the nerve of this girl to tell me I can't dance with anyone. I'm the best man here, damn it. So I go to this wedding, and I have the greatest time of my life at that point in my life. Like, it was the greatest time I had ever had in my life. Great time. We had an open bar. Yeah, obviously I wasn't old enough to drink, but I was right there, 20 years old, right? Had drinks, and goddamn it, I danced. I danced my little ass off, and I'm not a dancer, man. I'm not. But you get a few drinks in me, I might give it a shot. So, I'm out there giving it my white boy's shot at dancing, and having a great time, dancing with everyone, including my ex-girlfriend, right? Like, knowing that if my current girlfriends, like, knew about this, she'd be really fucking pissed. Well, I didn't care, because how dare her tell me not to have a good time, right? I'm 20 years old, damn it. I'm in my prime. And so I'm dancing with everyone, having a fantastic time. And by the end of that evening, I have fully convinced myself in my drunken stupor that I think I'm done with this relationship, right? I think I'm done. And I remember after the wedding, we all stayed, most of the wedding party stayed at the bride's parents' house. They had a nice house and a swimming pool and hot tub and stuff, and everyone kind of went back there after the wedding. And I remember discussing it with Chris, and that I wanted to end things with this girlfriend of mine. And he's like, yeah, man, I mean, that's probably the best move, you know, if you don't want to be in the relationship. I like, yeah, and it's like, I don't know, I was like, kind of feel like shitty because she's got all her things packed. Like, we're ready to move in together. Like, I've let this go on a little too far, man, and now I'm gonna go and just be like, never mind. Keep in mind, this was a couple days out from the move. We were fully ready to move. We had the U-Haul. We had everything lined up. We had a going away party planned, right? She had already said goodbye to all her family and friends. And Chris goes, dude, if you're going to do it, it's better to do it now than to wait until you move to North Carolina and then break it off. That'd be horrible. So I'm like, you're right. You're right. Well, one thing that Chris and I like to do is mess with each other during important moments, right? So I fully decided, I think this was on like Saturday or Sunday that we were talking about this, and then I fully decided, like, okay, Monday's the day. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna break out there. He's like, I want to be there. I'm like, what do you mean you want to be there? He's like, I want to be there, dude. I want to be there. I'm like, all right, but you have to, like, don't mess with me. You got to let me do this, okay? Like, don't do anything to make me laugh or anything like that. I know what we normally do, but this is a different circumstance. Please don't, because this girl's going to be very sad. And it's going to be hard for me to keep a straight face if you're doing something ridiculous. And he's like, no, man, seriously, I will not do anything. He's like, I just, you know, I'd like to be there, you know? And I'm like, that's strange. But at the same time, I'm like, I kind of wanted to back up. I don't know. What if she got crazy or something? I don't know. I wanted my best friend there, right? Not like in the room while it's happening, while I'm breaking up with this girl, but nearby. And so it began. I went to my apartment and I was waiting for her to arrive. And she comes in, she's already pissed because I've basically been ignoring her because I don't know what to say, right? I'm about to break up with her and I don't know what to say, you know, over the weekend. So I've been kind of ignoring her calls and stuff. And then she arrives at my place, and keep in mind, we're basically living together at this point. So she arrives. Chris and I are sitting there in the living room waiting. And she comes in and she's pissed. She's pissed. She just storms through the house. She gets mad. She goes straight, like she goes in, she's like, what the fuck is your problem? Why are you ignoring me? This is bullshit. And I was like, we need to talk. And I think she knew it was up, right? So I'm like, can we go in the bedroom and talk privately? So we go in the bedroom, and I start to lay out how I felt. You know, how they're telling me I couldn't dance with anyone and stuff. It just seemed a little controlling at this stage in our relationship, and blah, 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 right? And she's really upset at this point. Like, she's starting to cry, and this is where the song comes in. Chris, now the song To Be With You by Mr. Big has always been a favorite of ours, okay? And Chris decides, while I'm breaking up with this girl, a very tender, you know, a sensitive moment, that he's going to put on that song, To Be With You by Mr. Big, on my home stereo, which was a nice one, because like I said, I had a lot of money to blow, and crank it all the way up as loud as it could go. He's in the living room doing this. We're in the bedroom. There's a wall between us. Nothing. You got Mr. Big. It's not funny, but it was hilarious. It was. But it was messed up. I know this. He's blaring To Be With You. It's like this acoustic, you know, glam jam, right? It's like this acoustic, like love song, right? And he's playing it. And it's a breakup song. It's about a guy breaking your heart. I just can't imagine, like, it's horrible. It's horrible. He knew exactly what he was doing. The bastard knew exactly what he was doing. I almost bet that he thought to himself beforehand, when he first said, I want to be there, he was thinking, I'm going to play To Be With You while he's doing it. I'm trying to be serious because this girl, it's really sad. It's breaking her heart. She's crying. And I am feeling the emotions too. But then that song, the fucking song comes on, and I'm like this. Right? Trying my hardest not to smile, because it is funny to me, because this is like a thing. Like, we always laugh about this song anyway, but now to put it in this context and like make it a part of a story that obviously I didn't know this at the time, that I'm going to remember forever because it's so ridiculous. He jams this song super loud and just puts it on repeat. It keeps playing until she eventually leaves, and we're now broken up. Ridiculous stuff. Like I said, it didn't. That's what I'm saying. It didn't matter. Like, Chris cared more about making me laugh in a moment that would be very inappropriate to laugh than about what was actually going on. It was literally about entertaining each other. And this wasn't just this one instance, like so many things. And I'll tell so many other stories, especially in the book. Be waiting. The book is coming. If you enjoy these stories, you'll want to get your hands on it, because I'm going to have a lot more of these stories in there. But you hear throughout me telling these stories that's what it was all about. It was all about entertaining each other, making each other laugh, and that was it. That was it. And that took, precedence over everything. That was the most important thing, was to entertain each other. That was it. And as messed up as it was, I miss having that kind of bond with someone, because, it's something you can't really recreate. Like, as you get older, it's inappropriate. It's immature to have that kind of a relationship. And you grow to realize that you can't live your life that way. But we had this bond because of, the trauma we'd been through, the shitty lives we had led, the childhoods that we had. And just the bond that we developed out of, like, not really having anyone else. And so it became, since we didn't have anyone else, eventually it became like we didn't care that much about anyone else. And I realize now how shitty that is. But I'm just trying to relay how at the time it wasn't, we weren't just assholes. We had just created this, it was an asshole thing, but we just had created this bond that was probably based, like I said, on trauma. And, yeah. I never had a relationship like that my entire life with anyone, any friend, right? Where it was all about us. And like I said, it's really selfish. And I wouldn't even want to have that now, where everything around me is based on my relationship with someone. I wouldn't even want that. I'm just trying to relay how it was that we were so close, like, and could disregard others' feelings in this horrible way. But I can't excuse it. I can't excuse it. It was shitty. It was shitty. But I'll never forget it. That's for damn sure. Anyway, if you enjoy stories like this, here's what I do on this channel. Every day I pick a random topic. Something random that I want to talk about, something I feel is interesting, and hopefully others do too. It's usually entertainment or pop culture related, but sometimes it's stuff like this, right? Sometimes it's stuff a little deeper, and sometimes it's these life stories and just my observations about life and things like that. Things that have happened to me. But if you're into that sort of thing, if you were, into getting something new in your feed every day, then please subscribe for more, or favorite or follow the podcast, Daily BS Podcast. And if you decide to do that, if you decide to stick around and subscribe or favorite or follow the podcast, then I will talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks.
Hold on, little girl. Show me what he's done to you. Stand up, little girl. A broken heart can't be that bad when it's through. It's through. Fake the twist of both of you. So come on, baby. Come on over, let me be the one to show you. I'm the one who wants to be with you. Deep inside, I hope you'll feel it too. Feel it too. Waited on a line of waited on a line just to to be the next to be with you. Just to be the next to be with you.